Welcome to One Woman, Three Views podcast. This is your host, Sandra P. Today's question is, how young will a man or woman lose their virginity?
It depends upon the sexual maturity of the child and what they were exposed to, I feel and I believe. I mean, so at any age, honestly, if it was forced on them by, a random person, a family member that's being forced upon them at a young age, or, if a person just, how can I say, we've all been there, when you go in your mom's room and you looking for one thing, but you find a videotape and you know it ain't the videotape that you was looking for, but you're just so nosy, and then you basically expose yourself, and then the thoughts run from there. So that can be any time when a child is, 7, 8, clear up to they 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there.
I don't know if there is a set age. I think a lot of it's just about, like Dee was saying, maturity, sexual maturity. Have you been given any, especially for guys, because guys, we don't get adequate sexual education. Women are different because, where y'all bodies function, y'all are, a lot of things y'all are given ahead in advance, to learn know about your body, what's happening with your body, because y'all become women at an earlier age than men. Yeah. And so men are kind of, we don't have adequate sex education, especially for men. And that's why we have a lot of these inequities and how things happen. But I think maybe when you get in junior high school would be a time when you kind of having them thoughts, you're starting to have these things going, which your hormones start to kick in. Mm-hmm. And so usually when men get, in junior high school, for me, is when you're like, okay, something happened, you have your wet dream or whatever, and you're like, okay, I don't know what this is about. But then you start having all these other thoughts and things going on with your body, like, I don't have control of this no more. And so, I don't know if you want to put an age on it. It just depends, because everybody matures at different levels. Mm-hmm. Some people, when they, 10, they full-fledged. And then other people, they still kind of goofy. And so it just depends on where your maturity level kind of puts you in that environment. Because it'll kind of happen. You start, because with me, I hung around an older crowd. And so I was exposed to some things earlier than maybe some of my peers were. Yeah. And then with women, of course, women become grown women when they, when they're young. Basically, when your menstrual cycle starts as a woman, you're a grown woman. You can start producing children. And so your body's ready. I don't know if mentally you're ready, but at least,
body-wise.
Body-wise, the hormones, because once the hormones start kicking in, if don't nobody explain to you what's happening to you, you just kind of like, am I a freak? You really don't know. I mean, especially with men, you be like, why am I having these erections and stuff? And I even asked for it. It just came out of nowhere. And so you're like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? I ain't sure. And so, hopefully you are, you haven't had some sex education, either through school or through a parent. And so you can kind of navigate it a little bit better. But I wouldn't, as far as age goes, it just depends on when you're mature. Some people mature earlier than others. So I would say that would be my point about it.
I can say at a young age, I developed early in regards to my body. By 12, I was fully developed as I am now.
Right.
So I didn't go through the stage that some young girls have of the longing for, the development of the breasts and things like that. So for me, even though my body looked like a mature woman, but when you looked at me, you still saw a child, you saw a kid, and I acted accordingly despite being fully developed. So for me, even though I didn't lose my virginity, say like at a young age, I was an adult, but I did notice that a lot of older men started to come around and notice me of, oh, you looking good, I'm 12, 13, 14, here's a guy that's 25. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I like a compliment, but dude, you're old. As far as, my mindset then. I'm like, I'm in middle school, you have a whole car and no mama that you're living with. That's not a good balance. I don't want that. So just from my background, I knew that I didn't necessarily want to do that with someone so far out of my age range, despite how my body looked. My body was 25, but my mind was still 12.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
I did not consent until later on in life, until I was an actual mature adult and finally was like, let's do this. So
right.
I don't know how men experience their first time before a woman. It was not enjoyable. It was not.
It was odd. It's awkward at best anyway.
I think I still went like bowling afterwards. I was just like, I need something to do with the rest of my day.
Well, it's definitely not what you hear people talking about and how they romanticize it at all. But I think a big part of the problem is women do mature faster than the men, so you do have that problem where you're 12 years old and you've got people coming up to you in the mall. Well, can I get your number? Well, let me go ask my mama if I can give it out to you. And I just knew for sure that would detour. No. Okay, go ask your mama. I'm like, wait, what? That was supposed to be, that's my hint to you that I'm too young for you. If I gotta go ask my mama if I can give you my number.
And no, wait.
Yes. I'm like, in my mind, I was like, oh, you would clearly get. That means she's too young for me.
You need a pen?
Tell your mama I said hi.
Let me get it out of my suit jacket.
So there is definitely an issue there, and most girls don't have the knowledge of themselves. They don't have anyone that has that back to education that has talked to them about it, and they fall for it. Oh, well, this is the attention I want. They don't necessarily understand what comes along with that attention. So
the dynamics.
Yeah, they don't, and that's, I think, where a big part of the problem is. Now, for me, curiosity kills the cat every time. So I'm going to go in kamikaze almost every single time. So when I felt like I was at that point, my friends were all talking about it, and I was more of the baby of our group of friends. I was like the only one that hadn't experienced. So I'm listening to all of them talk, and I'm like, well, only one way to find out.
And that was, for me, was a fear, because like you said, a lot of my female friends had already experienced that. So here I am, I'm in high school, and I'm still a virgin, and not the technicalities that a lot of people do. A lot of women try to make technicalities, I'm a virgin in this area, not this. No, a true virgin. And all my friends were telling me what they were doing on dates, and I had a lot of male friends. So my male friends, and I think that's what kind of kept me from wanting to, because they would say, I went on a date with this chick, and we did this, this, and this. And I say, you like her? And they're like, I don't even care about her. So to me, it was like, wait, what? In the movies, y'all supposed to be in love, and then y'all get married. You going on to the next one, and you just seen her Monday, and it's only Tuesday? I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ready for this. I'm going to just give me some nachos for $1.50 and keep it kosher. But that was my reality of having to decide. And I remember something that a family member told me, and they said there's two types of women. There's women you engage in sex with and women you marry. You determine what type of woman you want to be with the way that you give your body. And that stuck with me. To say, here I just heard one of my male friends say he just slept with someone who gave them their virginity, and he didn't care. He was on to the next female. So why would I want to add myself to some man's list? And that's what kept me from saying, you know what, I'm not ready for this. I don't want to simply just be another notch.
Right.
And a lot of women do add emotions to it, whereas I guess I was on the other end of the spectrum. I can have notches too. Let's go. So did I do that a lot? No, But I felt like I knew you wouldn't have any emotional connection, so I'm not even gonna put myself out there like that.
Mhm.
So if this is what we're gonna do, okay, let's do this and keep it pushing. Well, a lot of the men, you don't hear that side of it. Like the men
True.
do it too, but you know, a lot of the men were like, well, whoa, hold on. I thought this was
You gonna get connected?
yeah.
to me
So like
and emotionally
yeah,
attached.
Yes,
Yes.
and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go about the mechanics of it just like you can.
Yes, I will.
So-
I will add to that. When I finally did lose my virginity, I just disconnected all emotions from it and was like, "Thank you, don't call me." And for a guy, they was like, "Wait a minute, was I not good?
You
What
flip
about
the
it?"
script on him.
Yeah, and then it caused the individuals, you know, along the way as you know get more experience to be like, "Wait a minute, you ain't called me. Why would I? Did you not have a good time? Yeah. So why are you here in front of me? First of all, I'm gonna pretend like I don't even know you. I'm here with my boo. Huh, nice seeing you. I'll tell your girlfriend I said hello." And then when my significant other's like, "Who is that?" That's Sheila's boyfriend. Once I learned that if this is how, you know, the stereotype of how a guy is going to perceive sex, then I can have that same mentality. I don't have to worry about what I did on Monday. And, you know, to be honest, unless I have a kid, you don't know how many people I've been with. It's back to zero every time. It's the truth. Let's be honest. There was plenty of females I've talked to that would wait certain amount of times because naturally our bodies retract. It goes back to the beginning. So you could be a virgin every time. I'm not applauding that behavior, but I'm not shunning it either.
Well, I think we always get caught in the a woman's supposed to be chaste and she's supposed to always
Yeah, the virtuous
yes,
woman.
you're not supposed to have urges. You're not supposed to have hormones. You're not supposed to have needs that need to be met. And that's not true.
Yeah, women have wet dreams. We just
Yes.
don't discuss them
Yes,
in public.
so there is a big difference there, and I think women are always made to feel dirty if you go out and satisfy that. No, and I think it's healthy if you do that.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean go out and sit on your front porch and take everybody that walks down the street. But I mean, I don't think that you should feel ashamed.
For engaging in
Yeah,
sex. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Would you be able to put an age on it?
I don't think I could. I mean, of course, if they're, I would say, if you're in grade school, you probably shouldn't be dealing with stuff
Don't
like
take the
that.
babies out.
You know, but
Elementary school is
Yeah.
not adequate for
Right.
anything other than Legoland.
yeah, but basically once you get, 13, 14 on up, because there was a time when women were married off by the time they was 13.
Mhm.
A century or two ago. Once a woman could bear children, family
That
would
was
try
it.
to marry her off, blah blah blah. She would start bearing children. That's why people had 18, 19 children. You got to get started real early to do that.
And life
So it just
expectancy
depends.
was a lot lower
Yeah,
then too.
yeah, and so they got the moving on with things, but actual number age wise, just it's about maturity. It's just
Depends on the person.
yeah, it's an individual thing. I would think.
Yeah.
You would hope like you did. You would put it off as long as you can because it's other dynamics. You go through the physical part of it, but then like you say, some people get emotionally attached. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to be emotionally attached with you. I mean, we had a good time, but I don't have nothing to do with you. And it brings in a whole lot of other dynamics that it can get complex if everybody, because nobody's gonna sit there when you especially with you're an attractive person, you're gonna be having so many more offers. See, a lot of that's gonna be dictated on how you are viewed in society. Like an attractive woman, you're gonna get 1,000 offers before you get to high school.
Free drinks
Now,
as soon as you hit 21.
And so if you're not perceived as a very attractive person, you probably gonna have to wait longer anyway because you're gonna have to really work at it. You're gonna have to bring some other stuff to the table. I mean, I just honestly,
But I see
I
them
have
as the
friends that
most
was like that.
promiscuous, though. due to not being as seen as society as sexually attractive, by being the most promiscuous, because it was the ones, unfortunately, colorism plays a lot in the black culture.
doubt.
So I had friends that were, of a darker skin that may have been perceived as not attractive, that may have a couple of notches on them just because they weren't perceived as beautiful, despite them still being a beautiful woman or a beautiful man, to where you like, because I don't know when I'm going to get this opportunity again. Let me knock this out since you offered. So I would even say being attractive, because it's going to happen again, especially for a woman. I get so many free drinks, male, female. A real life experience. Damien and I went to the club and I had $10 to my name. He said, I'll buy you a drink. I said, okay. He came back, I was drunk. He said, I thought you only had $10. I said, Damien, I'm a woman. I was gonna get drinks. I didn't say I was gonna pay. I simply said I had $10. We left the club because ladies get in free. He said, well, how much money do you have? I said, $10.
She was on that $10 all night, brother.
Every time he looked, I had a drink in my hand. He said, who got that for you?
And I even got a free drink out of the night because the girl was like, oh yeah, here, take this, hold this. And she was like, you're her friend? Right. Here. He was like, what? I said, I'm attractive. Go with it. So, I sat and drunk. Hey, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah. But I just mentioned that only to say that I think that attractiveness does play a role. And if you know that there's going to be more offers, you're not hopping at the first few that come. You're like, this is just a norm for me. It gets to a point where compliments just aren't enough anymore because you've heard it. Oh, it's something about you. Oh, you're so beautiful, to a point where I know, not where I was shallow, but I stopped saying thank you. I've heard it already. Oh, I love your skin. Okay.
He says that to me all the time. He's like, you've heard it so much, you're oblivious to it. He's like, so when I'm walking behind you, I can see someone looking at you or getting ready to approach you until I get close enough for them to back off. He's like, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? There wasn't anybody else on the aisle. He's like, there are two guys on the aisle looking at you. I'm like, no, there's potatoes. What are you talking about?
You know why he's laughing? We went to Rockfest, okay? I was in a relationship. This is at the beginning of my relationship or whatever. And there was a female that kept making sexual connotations to me. Now, it was hot. So I just took it as she was hot. She kept saying, oh, I would do this because it's so hot. I didn't pay any attention. I kept going, it is hot. It's really hot.
And we were really there for the concert. We were there for the concert. And, I was like, yo, I think she's hitting on you. She ain't hitting on me. She ain't talking to me.
Yeah, right.
That ain't what it's about. It's hot. Remember, she said I'm hot. So I'm like, okay. Right. And then the girl comes closer to me and then tries to divide in between the two of us. And she's like, it's really hot. Like, seriously, it's hot. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know where to take it. I tried to let her know.
Yeah. And I still was standing there, and I said, it really is hot. You're kind of close for it to be so hot. And the whole time, I'm just, like you said, oblivious to it because that's not, it's my norm. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily, if I'm not flirting with you and I don't find you attractive, I don't think you're flirting with me because I think you're just having a conversation at that point.
And of course, it may think you're playing hard to get, which is,
Yeah.
And that's more attractive to some people.
I've been married so long, I don't even.
Because there was what?
Like the cat and mouse game, and I'm
the challenge of it.
I've never been with it. Like, I've never been with it.
I've never had the patience because I feel like I've always had the mindset that everyone is replaceable, including myself. So even if I am not your one, somebody else can be your one, or someone can be my one. So why am I going to play games with you when I can simply, you in the way, you distracting me from whoever is my one. Please remove yourself so they can appear. Because you are distracting me right now.
So I don't know, age-wise, I would say there's probably an age where you shouldn't be engaging in sexual activity, but I think, once you get to junior high school and your hormones start to kick in, it's a natural thing to where something's gonna happen, and you have to know when it's right for you, and opportunity. It's about opportunity presenting itself too. So,
True. My opportunity came when I was 13 in the movie theater.
See, yeah, that works. It's just like
opportunity came way before then. However,
you take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You feel like because you do have to be, you like to be because you're gonna be nervous. You be like, gosh,
Yeah.
Especially if you've had some education, because the education may be like, well, I know what this can end up being, and I ain't trying to go there. I like that. I like the experience, but I ain't trying to get pregnant or have
Exactly.
So you kind of like, can I go halfway and come back? And so you kind of gauging yourself, but at some point it's just gonna happen.
Yeah. I would say for females, there are those consequences that come with the virginity of, as you stated, getting pregnant. That is a known sign that you are sexually active, and you hope that the father of the baby wants to be there. But that is a consequence that I think may either push someone towards it or deter them away from that consequence.
Of course, the STD thing.
Yeah, and as
STDs,
STDs, the use of, depending on if you're too young, you might not adequately use a condom correctly. And that in itself, I would say, I'm not going to put a number on it, but I would say I would hope that someone could at least wait until they're in high school or college to at least adequately protect themselves.
Right.
Because if you're in middle school, let's be honest, the likelihood of you having enough money to go buy condoms is slim to none. So that means you can run the risk of an STD, pregnancy, or worse,
bad experience.
A bad experience.
A bad experience could be worse than any of those together because it could really just die.
It changes the whole dynamics. And I know even when I was in college, my boyfriend at that time was a virgin, which had various weird experiences when you have two people that are unexperienced. They're trying to gain and say, well, what do you know? I don't know anything. What do you know? I don't know. I'm just going to touch everything. And it's like, I don't think this is how this is supposed to go. This is awkward.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe having losing your virginity to maybe someone that is experienced changes the dynamics. Right. But I think if you're too inexperienced and you're both young on top of that, it's just awkward.
Yeah.
It's just really awkward at school the next day.
Yeah. It's very awkward. I can attest to that.
He poked you in the eye because he was all nervous. Now you got pink eye. Right. What? You get the wrong host syndrome, It's like, is that it? I don't know, but that hurts. I don't think that's it.
Oh, man.
As a guy, if you're unfamiliar, you don't know where to go.
Yeah,
right.
It's not.
In all honesty, I can say my first time, and being in a movie theater and trying to be all hush hush about it, I was thinking that thing wherever it would go. And you heard a couple of ouches and then right there, and you're like, okay, but you still haven't looked down to actually see. You just stick it wherever to go.
This is what I was told.
If it'll go in there, it'll go in there.
Yeah, it fits, right.
And now her stomach hurts. Right. She got an outie belly button, all because
No instruction of man.
That's my navel. Get out of there.
And so as a society, we should be probably educating our kids more when they're in grade school. Of course, people are afraid to talk to them about it, so what am I going to do it? Look, by the time they get 13 or 14, once them hormones kicking in,
it's too late.
It's some stuff going, some stuff going to jump off because you're going to feel like, okay, what's going on? So I was kind of surprised when when my boys had said they had some introductory stuff when they was in fourth grade or whatever, because I started asking them some questions. So we learned about that in school. I was like, whoa, really?
They beat me to the punch.
And so I was like, I was like, okay, well that's cool. So so I found out, what do you think you know? What do you think you learned from that? Because I remember, I was in grade school during the 70s, and so they showed us a film, I think in the third or fourth grade. It's like, really? Ooh. Okay. They tell you about your testicles and this and that. Tell you about the female. They don't tell you about the interaction, but they tell you about each one of the organs separately. It's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of gross. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna be participating in that. You find out later. That, you know, they'll tell you about the other part about it. How you know, but you basically learn that it's about procreation, about making babies and stuff like this. Like, I don't want no babies.
Right.
Well, I would even say generational, because I know when I was in school, we didn't necessarily have the film at that point. I think it was more so maybe middle school. But by then, like I said, my friends were already active.
Right.
So, you know, I remember the DARE program coming, talking about drugs, the people talking about sex education, and then going home with some condoms, and I knew nothing about it, so I took it out and did what most kids did. I filled it with water.
Yeah, blow them up.
Yeah, my mom seen it on the floor in my room and was like, so
where you get those?
What is that? I said, they gave it at school. I don't know why they gave us these water balloons. I can't throw them. And she kind of laughed and walked out and was like, all right, cool, I'm good with that. There wasn't an explanation necessarily. She was just maybe comforted by the fact that
introduced to it at a certain level. Like, okay, at least they didn't say something to them at school.
Okay.
We get trusted. They didn't tell them no crazy stuff. So at least they said, look, if you know, we would suggest that you don't participate in sexual activity, but in case you do, try this. Might help save your life.
Yeah.
True. And we've already started educating our daughter. Because my daughter will be 12 this year. Her and her mom took a trip down, I believe it was Florida, for Walt Disney or something like that, Walt Disneyland. And my daughter had been looking at videos because other kids in the school were telling her about these videos. Hence, at this time she was only 4th grade, she's 5th grade, about to go 6th grade.
Right.
So she's looking at these videos on YouTube, hence they're Minecraft. So everything is kind of hidden in the plain sight of just the thumbnail of the video. It doesn't really tell you what is fully going on in the video.
Right.
I had to look at the videos myself to then know. So then I spoke to her mother, and in their trip, her mother had the conversation with the birds and the bees, because they did the whole, they were going to fly, but after I let her know that, they did the whole, we're going to drive so we can talk.
Right.
So they did that, and
that was good.
Like, as soon as my daughter got back, we talked about it a little bit. And she was like, is there anything you want to tell me, Daddy? And I was like, yes, it's 7 B's, baby. And she was like, what's that? Books before boys, because boys bring babies. Period. Wow.
I like that. But what's funny is, with today's kids, I think that generationally it still changes from when we were younger versus those that are older than us and what they were experienced to now. You can go on the internet, you can go on your phone, you can, hey Siri, show me.
Everything is at your fingertips.
Yeah, and the video games. I remember having a talk with a friend of mine because she allowed her child to play GTA, Grand Theft Auto, and I said, have you played that game? Do you know what he's allowed to do in that game? I don't allow kids of any age outside of 18 and up to play that. Even if their parent says, oh, it's okay, then go home and play it.
Right.
You will not play it here. No. It wasn't until I showed her a video of what is allowed, and her son was 10 at the time. She said, I don't think he knows that. I think he knows that. I think you did not know that.
Right. And that's a big, misconception, like in the gaming world, because that's where the world I flourish in. A lot of times I go to a lot of game stores and stuff like that, and I see the parents in, like, a lot of them are single mothers with their sons. Their sons are like 12, 13, they're in the game, and they want to keep their sons home, because in the society where we live at now, being our color is kind of like threatening to people now.
Right.
So gaming is one situation where you can stay home.
Right.
So the lady's in there, she's looking at games. I mean, and all these games are teen rated and up, which means that you have to be 17 plus to even play the game.
Right.
A lot of people are oblivious. They don't look at the rating on the game to say, oh, this is going to be the right game for you because it's age appropriate.
Right.
They just buy the game because they're tired of their child nagging them about
for that game.
Right. So I try my best whenever I'm in a game store to actually educate one parent, if there's one parent in there, about the ratings, because I won't buy my daughter, my nephews, my nieces, I won't buy them a video game at all if it's over their age rating.
Right.
They can beg me all day.
They got nothing to do with
it. Won't happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Same with my home, especially with me having a large family, a lot of cousins and different things of that nature, to where I would get my younger cousins over here, and they say, oh, Sandy's house is, that's the kick it spot. No. There are games that you are not allowed to play.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to shut that system down where you can't play that system at all,
shut it down,
then that's what I'll do. So they know when we get over there, we can't play. Because at one point, I used to have it to where they could drive on GTA. Then I said, you know what? No, I'll buy Need for Speed if you want to drive around.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then I can monitor what you're doing.
Right.
Because I don't want you going home saying I allowed you to do this. And
Right.
it may be a technicality, but I could have allowed you to see something you didn't need to see.
Yeah.
Because there was a time my goddaughter, I was playing a game, I was at home by myself, forgot that she was supposed to come over, and there's a part in the strip club. I paused it. She came in, seen it, and said, what is that? Now I have to explain to this child. And I did what any, godparent or parent would do. I lied. I said, she can't read, so this is the only job she can do because you don't have to read to be a stripper. The end. She did well on her spelling bee. Okay? I had nothing to go on. I was just like, So, but the fact that it exposed her still.
Right. Oh, yeah, because it's already, once
it's in their head.
That wrinkle is on your brain. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something different.
Yeah, and especially, if I don't do well on my test, I'm going to end up naked on a pole. Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want you to have that.
Right.
I've already failed in the babysitting realm. Thank you for listening to the One Woman, 3 Views podcast. Tune in for the next episode.